Greetings everyone. Hope all of you are having an absolutely fantastic day. I know many of you have been asking for this video and I apologize for the delay getting it out. I didn't realize that Owlcat was going to drop the patch 1.5 right in the middle of Bloodlines 2 Dispatch and Outer Worlds 2 being released, and consequently I wasn't prepared to pivot. Most of my content for those games is now finished and I can focus on the amazing update that Owlcat has done. One of the main aspects of this update is the massive changes to Origins, which is something many of you have asked for since the game's launch. There's a lot of changes and I'm going to be detailing all of them here. I'll also have videos coming that will walk through the new talents and changes to the archetypes, so if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you don't miss any future videos. Looking at the Origins list, Crime Lord, Noble, Sanctioned Psyker, and Arbitrator are unchanged, so we won't be covering them in this video. Astra Militarum Commander has been changed, but keep in mind these are more like adjustments as opposed to the complete reimagining that you'll see for some of the other options. Regimental tactics last for one round and cause your squad to not suffer damage from allied attacks, and they gain a massive percentage bonus to damage against enemies who are attacked by them since the ability's activation. This used to scale off perception and now it scales off fellowship. It also used to be based on enemies being adjacent to your allies instead of just damaged by them. These changes mean the feature is much more viable for support characters like officers, and it's easier to take advantage of it since none of your allies have to be close to the target. Like before, you cannot stack this feature with multiple commanders and it can only be used once per combat. As far as optional talents go, Field of Fire remains unchanged, but the others are either completely new or have been adjusted. Suppression Fire triggers when you activate regimental tactics and causes the weapon attacks for your entire party to gain 20% dodge reduction, parry reduction, block reduction, and cover penetration against enemies that have already been attacked by your allies. Previously, it required that one of your allies was directly adjacent to the target, and again, this makes it much easier to activate the feature's effects. Unflinching Heroism triggers when someone in your party performs a heroic act and increases your characteristics by 7 until the end of combat. Previously, the bonus was only 5. In some fights, your entire party will use their heroic acts, so this bonus is considerable by mid-game. The last two talents we're going to cover are brand new. Fixed Bayonets gives your party an additional melee attack if they are wielding a two-handed Lost weapon. The Bayonet Strike is a single target melee attack that costs 1 action point and doesn't count towards your attack limit per turn. It deals the same damage as your weapon but can only be used once per round. If you have frontline characters who don't have any interesting options in their secondary weapon slot, this will help them consistently pump out more damage, and it's something to consider. Last on the list is Trench Warfare, which triggers while you're in cover and causes your Lost weapon's rate of fire to increase by 20% or 40% depending on whether you are in partial or full cover. If you are a backline character using Lost weapons, this is obviously fantastic and should definitely be picked up. Overall, I'm very happy with the updates to Astra Militarum, and I think there's a lot more variety in how you can make the Origin useful. Next on the list is Commissar, and this option has received a much more dramatic upgrade. Its main feature at all costs causes you to shoot an allied character with a pistol in your primary hand, which means to use this, a pistol must be your main weapon. The shot ignores armor and deflection, it always hits, and it deals a percentage of weapon damage that is always at least 100% and scales with your coercion score. The hit is a crit if the ally is a Xenos. If the ally remains in combat, they gain the at all cost effect. At all costs causes the character to deal more damage and gain a bonus to dodge and parry that scales with your fellowship bonus. Also, they gain a bonus to characteristics that scales with your coercion score. If the ally falls unconscious, then these bonuses are instead applied to all of your other allies, but not yourself, and the cooldown of this ability is reset at the start of your next turn. So basically, kill one of your allies and motivate everybody else in your squad to do their damn jobs. To reinforce this even further, a secondary feature has been added called Iconic Sidearm. Shots with your pistol in your primary hand deal a percentage bonus to damage that scales with your ballistic skill bonus. They have a 15% bonus to crit chance, and they gain a percentage bonus to dodge reduction that scales with your fellowship bonus. So essentially, there's no escape from shredding one of your allies. Embrace that at all costs is really going to hurt someone. Obviously, these features will be an acquired taste, but I think there's an amazing thematic opportunity in playing this way. I can already see my officer splitting Earliet in half and then yelling to Abelard the same will happen to him if he doesn't charge the front line. I'll definitely use this origin the next time we have a live stream playthrough. As far as the optional talents go, motivation and summary execution have been changed significantly, and the other talents are brand new. Motivation increases your movement points by an amount that scales with your character level. All nearby allies also gain the same bonus. Once per round after a pistol attack, you gain an amount of movement points that scales with your fellowship bonus. Positioning is everything in Rogue Trader, and if your Commissar is responsible for dealing heavy damage, this is a great pickup. Previously, this talent only granted 2 more movement points. Summary execution is triggered when you use at all costs while shooting from behind and doubles the bonuses it grants. No question, you'll want to pick this up. Previously, it let you use at all costs again after killing a target. 1 for the enemy, 2 for the traders, applies your iconic sidearm effects to both hands, which is perfect for dual wielding builds. Let Them Know Fear provides a bonus to your party's resolve when you are adjacent to enemies or there are no enemies within a 2-cell radius. The increase in scales with your fellowship bonus, but it's not all that crazy, so this is probably a late game pickup at best. Finally, for the Emperor, triggers if an ally remains in combat after getting attacked with at all costs and then kills an enemy while under the effect. They will regain 30% of the wounds lost due to at all costs as temporary wounds. This can be fantastic if a party member, such as Abelard, starts being able to absorb the damage from your feature and you want to keep them in the fight. Great features and awesome secondary talents to back it up. I love the rework of Commissar, and I can't wait to use it the next time we experience this game together. Next up is Ministorum Priest, and similar to Commissar, it has been given a complete rework. When you use War Hymn, it now grants an amount of momentum equal to twice your zeal stacks and gives you more zeal stacks equal to your willpower bonus. Previously, it granted momentum based on your willpower bonus, along with how many enemies were within 5 cells or have been hit by you during that turn. Zeal is a new mechanic in the game that is further explained by the priest's secondary feature, Unshakable Faith. In combat, your priest will gain willpower that's equal to twice their strength, toughness, agility, and perception bonuses. So basically, as long as you have a damage focused build, your willpower will scale upwards accordingly. At the start of combat, priests gain stacks of zeal equal to their willpower bonus. They gain 1 stack of zeal for each enemy they attack with a bolter, flamer, chain, melter, or power weapon for the first time in combat. They also gain 2 stacks of zeal for each daemon or Xenos killed in any combat scenario in combat by any source. So basically, you want to use specific weapons and hit as many different enemies as possible to rack up zeal quickly. This is all way more layered than what Priest had before, and that means Argenta can be even more of a monster than she was previously. Looking at the optional talents, Litany of Perfection, Litany of Hatred, the Emperor Protects, and Cleansing Faith were all present previously, but they have been changed significantly. Litany of Perfection triggers when you use War Hymn, or Argenta uses Furious Recital and causes each daemon and Xenos in a 5-cell radius to suffer direct damage equal to 5 times your number of zeal stacks, along with 1 stack of Perplexed. Direct damage cannot be reduced, while Perplex imposes a -10 penalty on ballistic skill, weapon skill, intelligence, and perception. Mid to late game, you'll face nothing but Xenos and Daemons, so this is a great option. Previously, this talent applied 1 stack of Disturbed and dealt direct damage equal to how much momentum you had gained from War Hymn, which in many situations would be significantly less than 5 times your zeal stacks. Litany of Hatred also triggers when you use War Hymn and causes your entire team to gain additional weapon damage that scales with your Zeal stacks for 1 round. The bonus is doubled against Daemons, Psychers, and Xenos. Unless your entire party is made up of Psychers attacking with their mind, this is a beautiful option, especially by mid-game. Previously, this talent provided a bonus to damage equal to half your willpower bonus for single shots and attacks of opportunity, so this option is definitely more powerful. Tenets of Retribution triggers when you use bolt weapons and provides a bonus to damage and crit damage that scales with your willpower bonus. Melter weapons and flamers have their damage increased by your willpower bonus as well. These bonuses are doubled against Daemons, Psychers, and Xenos. Once again, no question, you'll want to have this. The Emperor Protects increases your maximum wounds by an amount equal to your willpower bonus. This is a rare downgrade, as the original version gave you a percentage chance to ignore an enemy attack equal to your willpower bonus, and I consider that to be the superior option. Most likely, you'll skip this. Finally, Cleansing Faith provides a percentage bonus to armor penetration with chain and power weapons equal to your willpower bonus. Critical hits with these weapons inflict burning levels that scale with your willpower bonus, and the bonuses are doubled against Daemons, Psychers, and Xenos. So before, it was clear that priests were best with a bolter or flamer, and I feel like to some degree that's still true, but now those options are somewhat even with chain and power weapons. Obviously, just go for whatever fits your playstyle. Overall, I really like what has been done with priests, and there's no doubt Argenta is going to carve up enemies with these new mechanics. Last on the list is Navy Officer, another origin that has been completely reworked. Brace for Impact grants the brace effect to you and all allies within a 5-cell radius for 1 round. Braced provides a +2 bonus to deflection for each archetype you have taken, and you cannot be forcibly moved or over-penetrated. You get 1 charge of this ability at the start of combat when your wounds drop below 50%, and each time an ally falls unconscious for the first time in combat. Originally, you could only use it once, and it only affected allies in a 3-cell radius. This is a nice defensive ability, especially when you have multiple frontline characters. The real joy, however, is in the optional talents. Get into Cover remains unchanged, except that now your allied targets can only use movement abilities, heroic acts, or desperate measures during their extra turn, whereas previously they could do whatever they had access to. Get Off Me was previously available, but it has been changed. While under the braced effect, you could use this ability once per round, and the targets of melee attacks must pass an agility resistance test with a -10 penalty or fall prone. This could be really nice if you know you're about to hit several enemies and want some crowd control in addition to the damage. Previously, it allowed you to use any ranged weapon in threatened areas, knock enemies prone, and push them away 1 cell. Stentorian Voice causes enemies within a 5-cell radius to experience a penalty to weapon and ballistic skill that scales with the number of archetypes you have chosen. This is guaranteed to pull the enemy's bonus down by at least 1, so it's worth considering, although I would skip it. Evasive Maneuvers triggers for allies with the brace effect or those who are affected by your non-attacking archetype abilities. Those characters will gain a percentage bonus to dodge that scales with perception for 1 round, and they will not provoke attacks of opportunity. At minimum, the bonus to dodge is 10%, so if you have multiple frontliners who depend upon dodge defensively, this can be a nice bonus. Fleet Combat Training is a monster ability and might be the best optional origin talent in the entire game. When you score a critical hit or parry an attack with your primary weapon, you will immediately attack with your secondary weapon, using whichever attack costs the least action points. Melee characters almost constantly crit against low-level enemies, and if you have a secondary weapon that hits multiple adversaries, such as one of the shotgun pistols, then this can result in multiple enemies getting eliminated in 1 turn. Note that this isn't limited by round, and it can trigger multiple times in 1 turn. That means warrior Navy officers get more attacks than any other character save Blade Dancer early in the game. First you charge, which might crit and trigger this, and then you can still do a standard melee attack, which might trigger this extra attack as well. Then when it's not your turn, the enemy enemy can attack, and you can parry, which will cause you to attack again. By the way, the parry attack stacks with Vanguard, so you could actually end up attacking twice every time you successfully parry an enemy. Bananas. Navy officer makes Abelard into an even more indispensable member of your entourage, and it's a great rework of the origin. The only issue I have with the changes made to these origins is that Noble remains untouched. And frankly, I feel like Noble could definitely use the same kind of love that Navy officer and Commissar receive. So I'm hoping, I don't think they're going to do a major patch again before the DLC, or at least that hasn't been announced. But hopefully sometime next year, when they start releasing some of the major DLC packs, a rework of Noble is a part of that, because then I feel like all the way around this will be a really, really strong list of origins that players will be able to choose from. But regardless, that's the end of the video. I think the changes to the origins are fantastic, make them much, much more viable. Psyker and Arbitrator are still probably the kings of the pack, but it's a much tighter race than it was before, and that's all that I wanted. So I'm really, really happy again what's been done, but I'm very curious to hear how all of you feel about the changes. So definitely let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and let me know if you started a new run, which origin you decided to go ahead and go with. I plan to again to do a video walking through all of the new talents, and I'll briefly touch on some of the changes that have been made to the archetypes. I'm hearing a lot of you say you think Blade Dancer is useless now, and I couldn't disagree more. So I want to walk through the changes and we can talk about it. Anyway, that's it for this video. If you haven't already, definitely make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, hit that bell so you don't miss any content, and there are links down below if you want to sign up as a member or sign up to join our Patreon. I will see you on the next video. Take care.